Hello, kia ora, g'day, I'm Philip Duncan from Weather Watch TV on YouTube with your Australia-only forecast right through till Monday the 1st of September, and we've got plenty of severe weather risks coming through, especially around the southern half of Australia. Let's make sense of it. On the satellite map and radar imagery this morning, the rain radar is in the green. Some heavy rain falling through parts of South Australia. Now, most of that is north of Adelaide, but hello to our viewers in Whyalla, for example. Hopefully you got some wet weather, even some of that rain further north of you there. Pushing into Victoria with some heavy falls as it moves eastwards, and also parts of New South Wales, mostly on the western and southern borders, getting some spillover from South Australia and Victoria, and that rain will push into the mountains. Heavy falls developing in the days ahead, especially around the western sides, and that could produce some heavy snow higher up as well. Also Tasmania, northwesterly winds at the moment, so most of the wet weather is coming into that northern and northwestern side. You can see the thunderstorms offshore. Cold front is on the way, colder air is on the way, so you've got the mild stuff before the cold stuff arrives. And if you're in New South Wales, certainly north of Sydney, there is still some cloud around, but it's going to be pushed out to sea soon. Drier, sunnier weather coming, maybe a bit of rain in the very south of New South Wales, but elsewhere, it's pretty quiet, apart from a few showers still going up the western side of Western Australia, heavier showers coming in around Perth and Peel, and obviously around the southern coastline where there are some thunderstorms. So on the air pressure map, you can see big high pressure coming out of the Indian Ocean, encouraging the southerly still around the southern parts of Western Australia. Now the temperatures are still down, but you might notice over the days ahead, they're not quite as bad as they just were, at least certainly around Perth. As you go eastwards tonight, northwesterly winds carry on, so that's why it's not as cold, but temperatures will go down and down and down as that low moves in and the southerly part of it moves closer towards you. So let's have a look at Wednesday's setup. The severe weather box in purple highlights a few things: thunderstorms, heavy downpours, or squally showers where you get a big burst of wind, gale force conditions in exposed areas, and snow in the mountains. So there's quite a few things. Now keep up to date with the Bureau of Meteorology for the official warnings, but that's just kind of generally speaking where we do expect some of that severe weather. Heaviest rain is in Victoria, heaviest snow is in Victoria, but there will be some heavy snow spilling over into parts of New South Wales and maybe even into the ACT's mountains. Also around Tasmania, the polar airflow comes through for you tomorrow, and so those nor'westers turn more westerly and then even southwest. Most of the rain, northern and western side, so if you're in Hobart, it doesn't look quite as wet. Now it's cold all through Victoria. The eastern side will get it later on, but everyone will feel that colder change by Wednesday night. Certainly South Australia's more populated areas, showers, sou'westers, and colder for you. But around Western Australia, yes, there's still some cold airflow left behind, but the showers are really tapering back off now, and not as much wet weather coming up further around Western Australia. But I want to show you one more thing here. We've got the boundaries for the two tropical airflow, the tropical flow and the polar airflow. Let me just quickly explain that, because here is the red line. That's the tropical air boundary. So everything north of that, humid, heavy tropical air. The blue line, everything south of that, colder, drier airflows. In the middle, that's what we call temperate. And that is most of Australia's main centres, with the exception of Darwin and Cairns. Most of you live in this temperate zone, just like New Zealand does. So when the blue line comes north, or the red line drops south, that's when you noticeably feel these different airflows coming through. And so that's why we highlight them, and that's why they are important to focus on, because not everyone necessarily feels cold or hot when those move through, but you do feel the change. You do feel there has been a colder change come in, or a more tropical one. So those lines are kind of important. As we go through the next few months, the blue one will disappear off the map and the red one will be pretty much the only one we talk about. For now, as we go into spring, the two are quite active. So cold weather carries on Thursday. Not so much in the way of severe weather, but a few thunderstorms around, snow still around the mountains, colder airflows coming up into Sydney, but plenty of showers for the southern third of Australia. I said southern half before, but really it's the southern third, or southern quarter even. It's really the most populated parts though, that's the thing, getting the showery weather. But if you're on the eastern side of New South Wales or up around Queensland and you're really sick of the cloud and the gloom and the wet weather, this looks a lot drier, warmer and sunnier. By Friday, windy westerlies across New South Wales get windier the further south you go, especially from Sydney southwards where gales are possible. We're still seeing snow heavy at times through the mountains, going right up to about the ACT. We're seeing low pressure over Tasmania. Low pressure brings instability, so heavy rain, thunderstorms are possible there, along with some snow, because this is a very big, cold southerly coming through here from roughly from Adelaide all the way over to about Sydney. That is the polar airflow. So there's thunderstorms, squally showers, and strong winds. Could be severe gale around Bass Strait in the northwest corner of Tasmania. But the thing is, we've got a couple more days to go to lock that in, and it might still move around a wee bit. High pressure builds around Western Australia. That means you've still got a southerly flow, but it's going to start to tilt more southeasterly. Those showers much lighter, temperatures going up another degree or two, especially along the western side, because you've got an easterly coming straight off central areas. And to the north, there is some low pressure in the tropics here, but it's dry low pressure. There is nothing really going on up there in any big way. So Friday afternoon, windy weather that I just mentioned to you. The areas in purple, if you can't see that, it's basically coming into coastal parts of South Australia and coastal parts of Victoria, and also along the mountains of New South Wales. So if we start with what's happening in South Australia and Victoria, those winds are getting up to about 90 kilometres an hour. So that's blustery, damaging, where you can get a branch that breaks, power goes out. That's not necessarily intense all the time because it's gusty. Sometimes that's only with showers. And if you look at Tasmania, much calmer under that low pressure zone, but very windy also coming up towards Sydney, sort of Sydney down to about Merimbula in the mountains there. Not so much coastal areas. Gusts could get over 120 kilometres an hour, certainly damaging winds, and very windy through the outback, through inland areas, gusts up to maybe 90 k's an hour still. So that's pretty strong for those inland areas. On Saturday, as we go into lunchtime in the afternoon, the severe weather box remains in the southeast. This is for Tasmania, it's for snow at higher elevations, and also for gale force southwesterly winds. Those are in the mix there. Rain could be heavy at times, but I don't think at this stage that will cause too many problems. And as you go into Victoria and into the New South Wales area, just bordering into the ACT, chance of heavy snow, and again, those damaging wind gusts carrying on from the south, although they should ease back the winds to some degree on Saturday, not as strong as Friday's westerlies are. Rain and snow showers potentially carrying on through the Great Dividing Range. And then as you go further up into Queensland, southerlies for you, so the red line gets pushed further away, not as hot, not as warm. Windy easterlies, though, further out towards Western Australia, they become strong in exposed areas, so just be aware of that. Could be some dust blowing around for you on Saturday. Let's go back to the southeast corner here. This is 1 o'clock Saturday afternoon. Worst of those winds, like I said, being pushed away, so really damaging stuff, but that's out at sea. Lord Howe Island could be pretty blustery, so if you're going on a boat anywhere, maybe don't do that this weekend. Strongest winds are in the southeast here. Again, it's places like Merimbula and further down towards parts of Victoria getting those strong winds, Bass Strait as well. And also Tasmania, gust to gale force, even going right up to places like Toowoomba and around other parts of Queensland as we go through Saturday. Now let's calm things down a bit. Let's go to Sunday. High pressure, smack bang over South Australia. That is going to bring in drier weather for you, but still a few coastal showers in the south, but not very much. Dry and sunny for the eastern side, the coastal side of New South Wales. I love telling you that. And as you go into Queensland, you've got an easterly flow there, only a couple of isolated showers, otherwise dry. Windy easterlies go across the Northern Territory. The Northern Territory experiencing very dry weather at the moment. Very little to talk about, so I'm sorry if I'm not mentioning you, but you'll be grateful for the way I format these videos when you get a cyclone and I don't have to break it off to talk about somewhere where the weather's not happening. So easterlies are pushing across there. That lifts up the temperatures in Western Australia, including Perth and Peel and the southwest, who are currently under the cold grip of weather. It's only Tasmania still under polar airflows to some degree. It's not that bad. And the winds are going to be the main feature, west coast rain and windy sou'westers. And our final map for Monday shows Tasmania still under that colder airflow. A few showers around on the west coast, dry for most of you on the eastern side. High pressure smack bang over Adelaide, moving into Victoria and New South Wales. And those easterlies with maybe more showers now coming in for Queensland. That's the unfortunate thing about these big, beautiful highs that break off the rain for some of you that are sick of it. The downside is that when the high moves out to the Tasman Sea, those showery easterlies drop back down again. That may well happen next week, but we'll have to wait another couple more days to really lock that in for you. So there we go, quite a few moving parts to the weather around Australia, but that's the time of year that we're in. We're at the end of spring, and we're going into we're at the end of winter, we're going into the start of spring. And for those of you in the north of Australia, we are slowly leaving the dry season and that wet season with all the heat and humidity just around the corner. That's all from me. See you again tomorrow, Wednesday, with our next Australia Only update.